10 Zen stories that use wisdom. 1. A full cup of tea. A young man came to a Zen master to learn the truth. When he saw the master, he talked non-stop about what he had learned. The master smiled and filled the young man's cup with tea, but he kept pouring. The tea overflowed. The young man exclaimed, "Teacher, the water is full. Don't pour any more." The teacher replied that, "You are like this cup, full of your own thoughts. If you don't pour out the old, how can you receive the new?" 2. Whoever ties it must be the one to untie it. A disciple came to the teacher with a big problem in his life. He talked about suffering. The teacher smiled and picked up a piece of rope, tied it into a knot, and handed it to the disciple. "Try to solve this problem," the teacher said. The disciple tried to pull the rope loose, but it became even more tangled. The teacher said, "You have to see how the knot is tied to untie it." The disciple immediately understood that problems in life are the same. We must know the root cause in order to solve them. 3. Why carry a boat when crossing the river? Two disciples traveled with their Zen master until they came across a river. Together they built a raft to cross it. When they reached the other side, one of the disciples asked the master, "Shall we take this raft with us?" The teacher replied that, "When the raft has done its job, we should let it go, not carry it for the rest of our lives." The disciple immediately understood that many times people cling to the past that helped them, but eventually we have to let go in order to move forward. 4. The sound of one hand. The disciple asked the teacher, "The sound of applause is the sound of two hands. What about the sound of one hand?" The teacher smiled and sat quietly. The disciple thought for many years until one day he stopped and found the answer. The sound of one hand is emptiness. 5. The silence that answers every question. A man went to see a master to ask for teachings. When he saw him, he asked many questions. The master did not answer anything, only pointing at a small flower that was blooming. The man calmed down and understood that some answers are beyond words. 6. Where is the truth? The disciple asked the teacher, "Where is the truth?" The teacher smiled and pointed at the disciple's eyes. "You see the truth all the time, but you don't realize it." 7. Dharma is in front of you. A man traveled to seek Dharma from many teachers. He went to ask a Zen teacher, "Where should I seek Dharma?" The teacher smiled and said, "When you are hungry, eat. When you sleep, sleep. That is the Dharma." 8. Who is the owner of the moon? A Zen master was walking at night when a thief broke into his cottage. When he found nothing, the thief left. The master smiled and said, "Since you've come here, let me give you a gift." He took off his coat and gave it to the thief. The thief was shocked and ran away. The teacher looked at the moon and muttered, "I wish he could see the beautiful moon too." 9. The bridge that doesn't exist. The disciple asked the teacher, "How long does it take to cross the bridge of Dharma?" The teacher replied that, "There is no bridge to cross, you are already standing there." 10. The teacher's last teaching. When the Zen master was about to die, all the disciples gathered together. They asked, "Teacher, what is your final thought?" The teacher laughed and said, "I am dying. If you truly understand the Dharma, you should celebrate, not be sad." Then he closed his eyes with a smile. Dash dash dash. These Zen stories show the wisdom required to understand the essence of life. If we use our wisdom to contemplate, we may find the answer within ourselves. 5 Zen tales. Dash dash dash. 1. The sound of one-sided applause. One day, a young disciple asked his Zen master, "Teacher, what does the sound of clapping with both hands sound like?" "I understand, but what does the sound of one hand sound like?" The teacher did not answer anything, remained silent for a while, and then walked away. The young disciple pondered for several days. He sat and listened to the sound of the wind blowing, the flowing water, and the falling leaves, but he still could not find the answer. A few days later, he went back to his teacher and said, "Teacher, I understand. The sound of one hand is silence, right?" The teacher looked at him and smiled, then lightly slapped the disciple's face with one hand and said, "This is the sound of one hand." Dash dash dash. 2. Young man with a cup of tea. A young man who is eager to learn comes to a Zen master to ask for teachings. When he sat down, he began to recite at length what he had learned about Zen, talking non-stop as if he was showing off his knowledge. The Zen master did not say anything. He picked up the teapot and poured tea into the young man's cup. The teacup was full, but the teacher kept pouring until it overflowed. The young man shouted, "Master, the glass is full. Don't pour any more." The teacher looked at the young man and smiled. Just like your mind, if it's filled with your own thoughts, there's no room for new wisdom. Dash dash dash. 3. Where is the Dharma? A disciple asked the Zen master. Teacher, where is the Dharma? The teacher smiled and pointed at the rock. The disciple was puzzled and asked, is the Dharma in the rock? The teacher nodded, so the disciple picked up the stone and studied it deeply. Teacher, I still don't understand. The teacher smiled and said, it's not just rocks. Dharma is in the air, in the trees, in the birdsong. It's everywhere, it's in everything. It's just whether you can see it or not. Dash dash dash. 4. The river and the moon. A young disciple felt confused in his mind, so he went to his Zen master and asked, Teacher, my mind is in turmoil and not at peace. What should I do? The teacher took the disciple to the pond and used a stick to stir the water surface until it became murky. Look, do you see the reflection of the moon in the water? The disciple shook his head. I don't see it. The water is too murky. The teacher put down the stick, waited a moment, and then said, wait until the water is calm, and you will see the reflection of the moon. The young disciple understood immediately. Dash dash dash. 5. There is no door. The young disciple traveled to see the Zen master to ask to enter the school. When he arrived, he found a high wall around him, but no door. He walked around for hours looking for an entrance until he got tired and decided to climb the wall to get in. When he got there, the teacher was already waiting and smiling. Why did you climb in? The disciple replied, because I did not find the door. The teacher laughed, like Zen, there is no door to enter because it is already around you. Dash dash dash. These stories reflect the wisdom and ideas of Zen, which emphasizes enlightenment through direct experience and present moment awareness. 5 Zen Tales. Chapter 1. The Zen Master and the Teacup. The Zen Master sat on the stone floor with an empty teacup in front of him. He didn't refill the teacup, but he didn't say anything either. He just sat there quietly. A student came in and asked Master Zen, why is there no tea in the teacup? The Zen Master replied, the teacup does not need tea. It only needs emptiness. The student did not understand, but he did not ask again. He just sat beside the Zen Master and learned from the Zen Master's silence. Chapter 2. Zen Master and the Wind. A Zen Master was walking in the garden, with the wind blowing through the trees. He didn't say anything, but he didn't stop walking. A student came in and asked the Zen Master, why don't you stop walking? The wind is blowing very hard. The Zen Master replied, the wind does not blow me. I just follow the wind. The student did not understand, but he did not ask again. He simply followed the Zen Master and learned from the Zen Master's ability to adapt. Chapter 3. The Zen Master and the Cat. The Zen Master sat in the room with a cat in front of him. He didn't say anything, but he didn't move the cat either. A student came in and asked the Zen Master, why don't you move the cat? It's sleeping. The Zen Master replied, the cat doesn't want to move. It just wants to be quiet. The student did not understand, but he did not ask again. He just sat beside the Zen Master and learned from the Zen Master's ability to accept. Chapter 4. The Zen Master and the River. The Zen Master was walking along the riverbank, with water flowing under his feet. He didn't say anything, but he didn't stop walking. A student came in and asked the Zen Master, why don't you stop walking? The water is flowing very fast. The Zen Master replied, the water does not flow through me. I just follow the water. The student did not understand, but he did not ask again. He simply followed the Zen Master and learned from the Zen Master's ability to adapt. Chapter 5. The Zen Master and the Flowers. A Zen Master was sitting in a garden with flowers blooming in front of him. He didn't say anything, but he didn't move the flowers either. A student came in and asked the Zen Master, why don't you move the flower? It's blooming. The Zen Master replied, the flower does not want to move. It only wants to be beautiful. The student did not understand, but he did not ask again. He just sat beside the Zen Master and learned from the Zen Master's ability to accept.